Hey class, Dr. Sands here. I want to take a minute and walk you through your capstone project development. It has four main components, and so let's get started. So just to read the summary here, this capstone project is the culmination of your BSHA experience. So it is looking at your program in totality and bringing it into this one course, i.e. your capstone. The overall goal of the capstone project is to apply what you've learned throughout the program to create a strategic plan that solves real world healthcare challenge related to access or desired outcomes. This includes choosing the strategic focus, evaluating on challenges through ethical and operational lenses, and proposing a well researched solution that demonstrates both professional and faith informed leadership. This project is designed in your scaffolding parts, so that means it builds on each other. When you hear scaffolding, it builds on each other. You'll begin by selecting a segment. Now, the segment is an area of focus for you to operate in. And these are what we call in segments here: clinical operational administration, finance and revenue cycle management, public health and community based administration, health informatics and digital systems, policy regulation, and strategic leadership. So, those are your segments. Um, let's see, the project design, scaffolding will be selecting a segment, supporting courses, and then developing. So the segment, like I just read out, and then the supporting courses. Now the courses are what the courses in your BSHA program, which we have identified here. And so, when you click on a segment, you'll notice the baseline is the same two classes in every segment. And then you have for part one, so that's part one, support your part one assignment. And then part two, you're picking, well, excuse me, part two, you're using the three required courses, BSHA courses, that align to your segment. Because you can see when you click on a segment, these courses change. Baseline is the same for every segment, and the part two required is specific for that segment. Okay. And then as you move on to part three, you will choose two of the three provided courses to pick from. So you pick two of those three, and as you can see, they are a little different based on the segment. And so what we did when we created this course is, aligned uh, the required and aligned your choice to the three choices here to the specific segment focus. Okay. All right. So as we go up, and then develop a project through draft submissions. So when you start off your capstone, you're going to write your part one, as an executive summary and what you're, and we're going to look at here in a second, executive summary and some additional requirements on what, segment you were picking, and then, et cetera. And then in part one, part one, I will give you, or the professor will give you, grade it and give you input, and then you carry that forward. The final capstone is a comprehensive and polished strategic plan that reflects your readiness for leadership in the field of healthcare administration. All right, so when we look at the capstone project development, like we just talked about in the opening overview, final part one, project proposal and baseline course integration. And of course, when we say baseline course integration, we're talking these two courses here, which is the same for every course. Define your healthcare challenge and propose an initial solution and integrated concepts for HCAD 300 and HCAD 420, which again, baseline courses. And then as you move into part two, which is you'll submit in week 4, segment required course application. Okay, so we establish a baseline, get our foundation, and then we'll start to move directionally along our course segment. Apply models and frameworks from your 3 required courses to strengthen your capstone strategy. So, and then you're going to submit part 1 revised. So, when you after you submit part 1, it'll be graded and assessed, and we provided feedback. The expectation is, or the requirement is, that you're going to take that feedback from your professor and update your part 1 and bring that over into part 2. So your part 2 submission is both your revised part 1 and then your new part 2. Okay, so all models and frameworks from the 3 required courses to strengthen your capstone strategy. And then as we move into part 3, so part 3, uh, choice-based course integration and strategic element. So remember, part 1, everybody's got the same 2 classes as a baseline. Part 2 is when you're going to choose from part 2 is the 3 required courses based on your segment, and part 3 is where you're going to choose 2 from the provided 3 courses. And so we're here, part 3, choice-based course integration and strategic in enrichment. Integrate insights from 2 choice-based courses to expand your capstone strategy. Okay, so again, these are culminations, right? So submit parts 1 and 2. So ultimately, after you submit your part 2 and you're going to get feedback, you will make updates to your part 2 submission, which is covering part 1 and part 2. And then you're going to create a new part 3. All right. So you're going to bring that all together, submit parts 1 and 2, which are your revisions based on your professor input, and then create a new part 3. And ultimately, that is your part 3 submission, which is due week 5. Okay. Now, ultimately, you've by this point you brought together the 3 parts. Okay. However, after you submit in week 5, your professor will assess your submission along with your new part 3, provide you input feedback on your week 5 submission. You will take that feedback and then ultimately update and revise your part 3 submission, and that becomes your new part 4 submission. Final capstone projects submission. Submit your comprehensive capstone project, ensuring it's refined and incorporates instructor feedback. So it says submit final parts 1, 2, and 3 with your revisions, and that is due in week 7. Okay. So that is when you look at the end to end on your capstone. That's ultimately how it flows. All right. Now, please be sure for each part 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go to part 2 because part 2 is when it starts building on each other, right? You've already submitted part 1. The professor is going to assess it, going to give you input. You take that input, correct it, or update it. That becomes part of your part 2 submission. All right. Please make sure that you read through these instructions thoroughly, because in some of the assignments that I've graded, some of this has been skipped over. All right, so note, part 2 is a continuation of the assignment you began in part 1. Add the required part 2 content to your existing assignment and make any revisions to part 1 sections based on instructor feedback. Submit your updated assignment for both part 1 and part 2 contained included. Okay, so your part 2, like I said, is the culmination of part 1, part 2. Instructions. This part gives you the opportunity to demonstrate how specialized knowledge from your segment's 3 required courses, again, right here, segment required courses, that's new for part 2. Segment required strengthens your capstone project. This course provides the professional and academic tools necessary to build a focused, effective, and relevant strategic plan. Now, as you know from the introduction video, I led the creation of this course and really wrapped it around, and interjecting, 25 years of experience in healthcare. So when we talk about real world application, it truly does. You'll demonstrate how each course contributes to your strategy by applying course concepts directly to your capstone challenge. Your writing should reflect application. So your writing should reflect application. Ultimately, we're well past like definitional writing, right? This is about where the rubber meets the road, and you're actually reflecting on application, not summary, and emphasize decision making, implementation, and strategic alignment. So these are all actions, right? These are all actions that you're to be writing towards. Okay. So, as you read down through, this is giving you all the instructions and updates and background on getting you ready to actually do this assignment. Now, follow these steps to continue your submission. Course by course integration. Create a dedicated section for each of the 3 required courses, i.e., part 2, 3 required courses. All right. Use the provided table to reference required courses for each course. This is what, for each of these courses, you're going to have these 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 like subcategories to write about, right? So, for example, clinical operations administration, healthcare operations. You are going to identify a key theory, concept, model, framework from the course. So ultimately, from each of these courses, what is a key model you would have used back in, HCAD 340 healthcare operations? Okay, what is the key framework? And so you're going to do that for each one. A key model from healthcare operations, a key model from human resources in healthcare, a key model from ethics and quality control. So when you think about, how your is going to be structured, you have your title page, APA format. You're going to have an introduction, and then you're going to have your part 1, and then you'll transition into your part 2, and each of these courses should be a level 1 heading, and then you're going to break it down for these requirements with level 2 headings. Okay, so apply the concept to your capstone challenge by showing how it helps define, analyze, or solve a critical part of your strategy, i.e., take what you identify here, apply the concept to the capstone challenge. Okay, support your application with at least 1 scholarly or industry source, minimum of 1 citation per course. Explain how this course and insight informs your leadership, decision making, and implementation approach. So you must do these 4 requirements for each of these courses that are required as part of your segment. Okay, so got you get that completed, then a synthesized summary. Okay, so conclude with a brief synthesis summarizing how the 3 required courses collectively strengthen your project. Remember, in part 1, you're defining your project, right? Reflect how this integration demonstrates your growth as a healthcare leader. This purpose of this section is to apply, not, the purpose of this section is to apply, not retell, okay, course knowledge. Your goal is to build a professional and accountability grounded strategic plan that reflects strong reasoning, alignment with your segment, and readiness for real world leadership. So, in this course, this capstone course, It was designed to mirror what you would actually be doing in the healthcare administration industry based on the path that you choose. And once, early on when you chose your path, the information that you receive for your path, i.e., clinical and operational administration, what you get to work with is different from your peer student who maybe picked finance and revenue cycle management. In the back end of the system, once you pick your pathway, your segment, you go down that segment pathway, which is different from the other segments. It's tailored specifically to that. Submit your assignment by following the instructions below before the deadline. So it's a written analysis format, APA title page, segment name, 3 required courses based on segments, strategic integration of core concepts, and reference page. So this is when, as far as your report goes, that is the format structure, right? So it says, and then we continue APA formatting and deliverable standards. Citation requirements, so a minimum of 3 scholarly or industry sources, 1 per course, which would be 7, including part 1, right? So um, be 7, including part 1. Page count 4 pages, excludes title and reference page, and when you hear page count, that's always the body, right? 8, including part 1. So for part two, it's 4 pages, but remember you're bringing in part 1, and minimum 3 scholarly or industry sources, 1 per course, which would be 7, including part 1. Everything's APA formatting, plagiarism submission, submit a written APA paper. And a couple of videos that I created to help one's planning and healthcare organizations, what that strategic planning looks like. And, I have, in the courses I've taught here, I have posted this, APA formatting essentials and what you need to know in every course as an announcement, and it's included here for reference. Please look at that or any other APA formatting resources that you have to ensure that it is properly formatted throughout. All right, well, that is an overview on how and what part 2, an overview of your strategic plan, and then going into detail on how to complete part 2. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy.